So I am at sjsu.edu. Early history of Germanic tribes and the origin of the Germanic tribes is lost in the sands of time. So says whoever wrote this. What little is known is based upon linguistic evidence. The Germanic tribes belong to the Indo-European family of languages that span from Eurasia, from Ireland on the west to India on the east. The origin of Indo-European languages is believed to have been in the merger of three peoples in the region between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. One of the three excelled in warfare, one in agriculture, one in metalworking. The synthesis of these three strengths produced a folk that spread east and west. Listen, so they're telling you right now that the Indo-European language is believed to have come from a merger of three different peoples. One who were warriors, one who were agriculture, and then one who knows how to work metal. Now listen, this is huge. I'm about to get into some other stuff with you. That's gonna it's gonna it hurts everything that they're saying about all of this. The languages of Germanic tribes underwent a systematic sound change that distinguished them from the other branches. So they're already saying that Germanic tribes are Indo-European people. Keep it, pause it right there. One moment. We are going to go to ancient.edu, .eu, and we're going to look up the Slavs. The term Slavs designate an ethnic group of people who share a long-term cultural continuity and who speak a set of related languages, known as the Slavic languages, all of which belong to the Indo-European language family. Are you guys starting to hear what I'm getting at? Let me go ahead and pause it for just half a second so I can get this next website. So I'm going to continue. We're at ancientgreece.org, ancient-greece.org. Right now, I'm going to give you just a basic timeline. I'm going to prove to you right now, even the most advanced civilizations that you know only date back 8,000 years, or will only give you 8,000 years of known history. I'm willing to bold the Earth isn't much older than 8 to 11,000 years old. Put a lot of money on it, at least modern life that you know about it. For sure, for sure. And anything else that they talk about is a toss-up in the wind. Listen to this. The Mesolithic period, 8,300 to 7,000 BCE, before Common Era. 7250 BCE, they claim earliest evidence of burials found in Frankti Cave in Arigold, Greece. 7,000 BCE, Neolithic period. Evidence of food-producing economy, simple hut construction and seafaring in mainland Greece and the Aegean. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't say that. I used to stutter as a child, so excuse me. Sometimes I get caught up on my words when I get excited. I know you can't tell because I've overcome it, but as a child I stuttered, with the mean fervor. And we are going to see 5700 BCE, and then I'm going to leave this stuff alone. The first Megaron house at Seskalo in central Greece. We're going to skip down to the Aegean Bronze Age and Early Bronze Age. Now listen to this. I'm going to skip down. Skip. It says nothing about these people coming from the mountains. Do you understand that? I don't see it. I'm looking. Nothing. The reason why I say that's so important, because you have to understand that it's a basic foundation, and all white man history, they come from the mountains. They can't. There's no other. There's no other claim anywhere else. So unless you're going to be the one to educate me in the comment section, and please do, with much facts. Once again, I give you .orgs, .edus, .coms. So don't just tell me what's out of your butt. Saying that, we're going to go one time to the things that I have lined up on the page. Keep in mind some of the time frames I've given you. You're going to be able to look at actual time frames. I will take and make sure I put in the link description box links to all these different websites. There is no physical evidence that actually is applied anywhere where white people actually come from. Now, I'm going to jump on the coattail of a brother of mine's, and I'm going to get real dirty. The Sea Peoples begin raids in the Eastern Mediterranean, 1300 BCE, Mycenaean culture. This is the claim. Destruction of many Mycenaean palaces. Doric invasions. Sea Peoples, 1200 to 1100. After this, you see nothing of the Sea People. Brother of mine tells me that they totally assimilated themselves into culture. Completely. Brother of mine says that the Sea Peoples were a giant peoples. And not just a giant peoples, but a giant white peoples. With beards that were yellow and red. And while they seemed to have been white peoples, I will bold one thing, that I'm sure some of them were not just white people. I will bold that the Sea People even come from islands, maybe not the Solomon Islands, but islands such as the Solomon Islands that have went very unknown to the modern world for a very long time. And there are many uncharted islands out there now. That is simply my opinion, and I will leave it at that. At this point, I will go back into other time frames now. I will start with early history, and it says Greece is the major world civilization of the time. This is 400 to 300 BCE. They formed the city-state, which were linked by language and culture. So the city-state is a culture and language place. Now, I want y'all to understand this. Before there was ever a Grecian Empire, way before, there were African civilizations, which are Hamitic people. There were Edomite civilizations and Assyrian civilizations, which are Semitic and Hamido-Shemitic people. There were the Babylonian, Mesopotamia, all these different places I could say that are black people that had city-states, nation-states, whatever you want to call them. So before I carry on, I have to go ahead and expound that's not true. And when you hear me stop off for a moment to go ahead and tell you my opinion, it's simply because I know it to not be a fact. They also introduced the idea of democracy. Very untrue. But we'll keep moving. 27 BC through AD 180. Roman Empire reaches its height. Roman Empire made important breakthroughs in government and law. Romans invade Britain. Now, I want to go to one more website, just so that way y'all don't think I'm tripping. It's called Blacks in Ancient Britain. The article was written on February 28, 2008 by a man calling himself Arthur D. And I just want to skip to the most important things that I think support it the best. The original Celtic priesthood were blacks. The white Druids had nothing to do with the construction of Stonehenge since it predated their emergence by several centuries. The Stonehenge was constructed by giants, just in case you didn't know. Um, um, Irish tradition tells of a giant-like race of Africans headed by a king with the retinue of priests called Fomorians. They were depicted as gloomy sea giants who brought their skills from Africa via Spain. I want y'all to understand what I'm saying right now, that the sea peoples weren't just white people. So, when I say what I'm saying, I stand on very much information. Um, the other thing I wanted to get at was that these men called themselves sons of Anak, sons of Canaan. They said this specifically. These are the Enum and Zazumim from which Goliath and his brother emerged. These are the, I cannot stress it enough. People, I'm not lying to you. I know it's going to kind of feel like a little awkward to hear that angels and aliens and giants and things like that procreated with animals to create hybrid offsprings like that. And then they then procreated with people. Those people then procreated with the animal hybrid offspring. The constant refixing and retouching of the genetics built an entire race of peoples. Can't prove this, cannot prove this. But if you look at genetics, if you look at history, if you look at what the Bible attests, if you look at just how people look, it tells you the truth. So let's just carry on. Romans pushed out of Britain by blacks, but they had already mixed their blood. You understand that? So this is 3 to 400 BC. 400 BC, in the 400s, right? Or 400. Roman Empire falls to Germanic forces in the 400s. Common Era, I want to say. The east part of Roman Empire survives and becomes known as the Byzantine Empire and has its capital in Constantinople. Now listen to this. The Byzantine Empire, if you've been listening to anything I'm saying about sea people going places, invading anything and stuff like that, this is one constant affair of not just one different bloodline, but potentially 3 different bloodlines, because you have the Hamitic bloodline and the Japhetic bloodline, and then you have the Gentile bloodline. The Gentile bloodline and the Japhetic bloodline being mixed up, and then the 2 bloodlines being mixed up, being congealed with the other bloodline, which is the Hamitic bloodline. So you have this Gentilic, Japhetic, Hamitic, or whatever the predominant combination is of a person who is now in this empire. I have to constantly stress this so that way you get the olive tone, the gold skin, things like that of that nature. I didn't make this video to bash you, anyone who looks like this. It's so that way you come to understand that they'll tell you anything. I just read 2 different things from 2 different, supposed to be cultures in history. One is the Slavic, right on. The other one was the Germanic tribes. So they're all the same. Number 1 is the point of the matter. Number 2, most importantly, there was an excerpt, I'm not going to go back and get to it, where a Roman guy who was smashed on by the Germans was smashed on by Germans who were taught by the Romans. And I'm like, how'd they get taught by them? Right on, they're the same people. They already knew the same stuff. They had the same skills, the same barbaric nonsense. They all did it to each other. 400s to 500s. Early Slavic people start spreading throughout Eastern Europe. That's a lie. Early Slavic people, if you look into Germanic culture, it'll tell you that Germanic tribes spread into Eastern Europe. See? But you have to read these things. I'm going to put all the links into all of it so that way you can see it and understand I'm not lying. 500 to 1500s. The Angles or the Angels, The Saxons, the Jutes invade Britain. So this is all white people versus black people and mixed people. Also, Scandinavian powers raid the coast of Europe, leading Norway, Sweden, and Denmark to develop 500 to 900. Germanic Franks. These are German French people. Rule with the most famous ruler being Charlemagne, who reigned from 768 to 814. He developed a system where land was distributed among lords and peasants, paid taxes to the lords for the right to live on the land. This became known as feudalism. 1711, Spain is invaded by a Muslim group called the Moors and control much of Spain for 700 years. That's a play on word, because if I go back and tell you about the Byzantine Empire in the 400s, right, you do know that the Moors established that, right? Okay, thank you very much. Took it over, ran it, all that. Just in case you want to say something stupid. Where else we at? Okay. The last part that I really have to get to you, and then I'm done. Then I'm done preaching and screeching. Individualism and humanism slowly replace theism. So they're saying that these white people, right on, this is modern European history, these white people slowly replace God with themselves and with the group. So there's no more God. Protestant power slowly replaces Catholic power. To another brother of mine who says that Lucifer and Satan are out there, duking it out, which I very much believe. This would be the first time where Satan, it's believable, makes a obvious power play against, Lucifer makes a power play against Satan. Protestant power versus Catholic power. Observation and experience slowly replace faith. And I'll go into the Protestant and the Catholic thing in a moment. Observation and experience slowly replace faith. That's a play on words again. If you live through faith, which is belief, essentially, you observe and experience things. So you can still observe and experience while maintaining your faith. That's it. That's all. Secular power slowly replaces papacy. And papacy is where the Pope is in charge. And they're saying that the groups, once again, the little factions that Lucifer and his little demons and the demons unaware that aren't working with him are all doing their thing. And they are slowly ceding the power from the one that people don't understand is really in charge of stuff still, Satan. Down here, that is. Running it on this planet for a while. Who knows how much longer. Merchant trade slowly replaces agriculture. So what they do is these people go and they stockhold everything, right on? This is when they first started to monopolize on resources. It's not going to say that, but that's what happened. They monopolized the resources. They grew their own agriculture to match the agriculture of the farms. So therefore, there was no need to have to barter. Now, all the goods come through us. You have to have what it is that we say you need to have to gain these things. Otherwise, it's no good. That simple. Education slowly replaces ignorance. Once again, another play on words. That is just like saying observation and experience slowly replace faith. Only now they use the word education for observation and experience, and they use the word ignorance for faith. So now they're saying that education slowly replaces ignorance. One cannot be educated and be very not ignorant. Okay? There are many people who have never read a book in their life that still know what a gun is. Okay? Right on? So that's reading, writing, being literate has nothing to do with being ignorant. Right on? Unaware has nothing to do with being able to spell your name. Doesn't matter. You know what your name is. Freedom slowly replaces feudal serfdom. Feudal serfdom was like a system wherein which people, when you paid, you were a peasant more than likely, and you paid for your feudal lord, right on, to live on the land. So how this worked was you only roamed where you lived. People feel this way, that way about it, but it kept a lot of things in check. While it had its own problems, it did keep a lot of things in check. You couldn't be a person from another town or city coming to my town or city not being a noble. So it wasn't very hard to know who was doing what, right on? Because only so many people were willing to leave. So many people, you understand what I'm getting at is that the dynamics of the circumstances are easier to read if you actually live in those kind of situations. Um, Saying all that, let me get back to the point. You have heard me spew and read what you're going to see on the screen. What you have to appreciate are these pictures. It takes a lot of time to find them. It takes time to put these things together. Appreciate the fact that once again, all I'm saying is that I believe that people with stringy goat horsey hair have those genetics in their body. That's all I'm simply voting. I think that some of the unknown genetics within the white man are easily explained and understood just by looking at the notions of how the Satori or the Satirs come to be into history. Once again, you'll have read all that, while you see all of it. So you get you get everything. You get to see the history of the Satir, read the history of the Satir, and then come to understand it while you listen. I know I asked you to do a lot, but thank you. Thank you also very much. You have a blessed day.